Hi, I'm Matt from Thrill Jockey Records, and you're watching Evil Greed Distro Picks. The first one I picked is Devour by Pharmakon. I somehow snoozed on this record last year, was quite late to the party. I completely missed that she had a new one out. Finally got around to listen to it at the end of the year, and it was definitely one of my favourite albums from 2019. Just all her records and live performances are like incredibly visceral and sort of caustic, and I think this kind of music is quite hard to actually, for a lot of people, to capture on record, but somehow the album is just as sort of nasty and powerful as when you're seeing her live. Not an easy one to listen to all the time. I sort of saved this for special occasions, shall we say. I feel like every time you've listened to it or watched her live, it feels like you've been through something in like a good way, in that like you can't ever go back to how life was before or after you've listened to one of her records. But yeah, I think this kind of now sets the benchmark for like noisy, nasty stuff for me. Like if it isn't at least this, then I'm not that bothered about it. Good record. The second one is maybe a bit gauche to talk about records you've worked on, but I love this album, so fuck it. This is Tabalard by I Flies, new kind of nasty noise rock band from Spencer from Full of Hell, a couple of the guys from Backslider, basically all like Philly, like East Coast power violence guys doing something slower and riffier, very much my thing, like big, just like hypnotic, churning, like riffy stuff that sounds like Helmet or Unsane, like any of that really good like 90s amphetamine reptile stuff. Yeah, extremely good. Was gutted that they were meant to tour Europe this year with Full of Hell, Spencer's other band, and couldn't obviously because of coronavirus, so fingers crossed they'll be back soon, but in the meantime you could do worse than to get acquainted with this before they manage to come over for shows. Next one I picked, probably my favourite Warhammer themed death metal band, Bolt Thrower. Just like every album is incredibly good, especially love this one. Very glad to finally get it on record as well. Yeah, I don't know what to say other than it's cool and it's all about Warhammer and stuff. Next up, a more recent one, the new Zebalba record, Años en Infierno. I probably butchered the pronunciation of that, but hopefully that wasn't too far off. I mean, it's got a picture of a pyramid on fire on the front, so off to a great start from the album artwork alone. And it's just, yeah, really stupidly banging death metal that is more fun than it has any right to be. I think every kind of time you think like this is the heaviest shit I've ever heard. Like, it can't get any heavier than this. Somehow it does, where they make it slower or louder or heavier or something. Yeah, constantly surprising and very fun. Big recommend. Next, another one. This was actually ever so slightly before my time at Thrill Jockey, but is probably one of my all-time favourite releases from two of my favourite heavy bands, basically. The Body and Full of Hell, their collab record, Ascending a Mountain of Heavy Light. Both bands that keep kind of just redefining what heavy music is, or it can be. I mean, this album alone, the second track, is basically just like a gabba track, just really like weird, heavy, pummeling, like stuff that occupies a weird space between kind of like nasty dance music stuff that I like a lot and sort of death metal, black metal, grindcore, kind of a hard one to pin down in a really good way. Yeah, definitely anyone who listens to any stuff along that kind of continuum, this is definitely a good one to pick up. Another one from, last year, Sunn's cracking album, Life Metal. The first time I ever saw Sunn was almost like 15 years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago at ATP Festival, and I hated it. I was sat there thinking, it's a bunch of guys dressed like wizards playing the same chord over and over again. Why do people like this? Whereas now I'm like, it's a bunch of dudes dressed like wizards playing the same chord over and over again. This is the best shit I've ever heard. I think again, it's quite a hard one to capture the kind of like live experience on record, just the kind of physicality of it, and the kind of like almost the like psychedelic effect of watching it live. But I think this and the kind of part like sister record Pyroclast do a really good job of that. It's kind of interesting to see how they distill that like experience down onto sort of record, and often in kind of like breaking it down into individual songs, it works really well. It's kind of very like texturally rich. Feels like one where it takes a lot of time to digest it, but each time you listen to it, you kind of hear stuff that you'd maybe missed the first time around. Yeah, I feel like every time I listen to it, it's like a new experience. Really great record. I saw them do a lot of this material at Unsound Festival last year, which was definitely one of the best shows that I saw that year, if not ever. Next up we have Baptist, Beacon of Faith. Very lucky to work with the drummer Nick's other band, Sumac, at Thrill Jockey, who are one of my all-time favourites. I actually got to see Baptist for the first time on tour with Sumac last year in Europe. Saw them play in Copenhagen, I think. The singer was wearing a Curse t-shirt, so that was off to a very good start. Interesting to see Nick like drumming in a totally different context. Like obviously with Sumac, it's quite sort of like extended free improvisation stuff, whereas this is a lot more sort of taut, like nasty hardcore. Yeah, he's an incredible drummer, always a pleasure to watch, and I was instantly hooked. After watching them live, ended up going back and checking out all the records. This is a personal favourite, but I'd say you can't go wrong with any of them really. And last but by no means least, the best ever to do it, Lingua Ignota. I actually didn't listen to this for a very long time because of so much hype around it. Friends kept telling me that I needed to hear it and that it was really incredible, and for some reason I didn't check it, but finally got around to listening to it, and yeah, it's really incredible. Pristine is sort of a force of nature. The album goes to a lot of places. She kind of mixes a lot of her kind of classical background with kind of heavier and like noise influences in a way that I think that, again, that's kind of hard to do without it coming across as a bit cheesy or forced, whereas her just kind of occupies this like interesting space that isn't any one of those things and sort of is somehow all of them together. Feels like a particularly poignant record as well, like talking about, you know, like abuse and accountability, which is really important for people to be like talking about and acknowledging now. And yeah, just an absolutely incredible record. Similar to Sunn, where I feel like every time I listen to it, I get something else out of it. Couldn't possibly pick a favorite track. The whole thing's amazing. Yeah, would recommend.
Say